What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fye with Eric Sheetshaber. We're going to be talking through this 6-game MLB slate. We will be live at 6:30 Eastern to do an early look at the showdown slate. And I think it's actually a pretty interesting showdown slate. And this MLB slate, I'm not playing a ton of lineups myself, but I do have some thoughts of ways to get different on these 6 gamers. And we talked about some of them earlier, so I'm kind of excited to get into it. I did want to say, if you guys get in here, please click the like button. We want to do these videos for free, and it helps us keep going because we need the attention, we need the eyes or whatever from Google. And we've been running a lot of sims close to lock, and I think I'm going to do that more earlier in the day than later in the day all the time, just because if we're doing that, like it's a little, some of the members have said that it's maybe a little bit unfair to them that they don't, that right up to lock people are getting that stuff for free. But you know what, it's all going to be different based on how you use it anyway. Wanted to start with that and then say, Sheets, how's your day going? I know there's NASCAR going on. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. So what's happening?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. I put up NASCAR sheets. I also put up WNBA sheets.
Let's go.
And I have to work on the showdown thing. I actually have a couple of players that I want to get overweight on. I have a couple. I have a couple of good old fashioned takes for the showdown slate that I'm looking forward to sharing. That'll be at about 6:30. And I guess we should get started again. Kind of the distinction between what the good plays are and what we're playing. Right. So sticking with DraftKings again, you have Kikuchi as the best option, and the option sucks, in my opinion. I mean, I really don't even like it. I mean, like his value score, the way I rate them, is very low, but it just happens to be the best. Right. And at 51% ownership, I'm very glad that I'm getting some, like, angels on the other side of that when I'm actually running the sims. That's just the way it is. What am I actually getting, though? Let me just see. I'm getting very little Kikuchi. I'm getting like 18% of him. The guy I am getting a bunch of is the second highest owned guy, at least the way I have him rated, and that would be Brian Bello. So for me, it's like Bello, Fat, Assad, and Fetty, and then a drop to how much I have Kikuchi. And in your honor, I ended up with like 15% Corbin. So so let's go. So that's the deal. And when it comes to the hitting, I mean, if you're just going to identify the best play, it's actually not very easy to do. I mean, I guess the Cubs and the Astros. Cubs and the Astros I have is rated the best. But again, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to play single entry and not care about ownership too much, you'll play Kikuchi X with Houston or Chicago. But if you want to play GPPs where you want to get different, you'll do something else. And for me, when I ran my stuff, I was getting the Angels, as I mentioned. And then the other 2 teams I was getting was the Diamondbacks, who actually you liked when we were talking about earlier, at least, and the Phillies. So I'm getting some Cubs and I'm getting some Houston. Remember, Houston doesn't have Altuve for this game. But I'm not really getting much Houston at all. I'm kind of not with the field. I'm probably under on the Cubs. And the guys I'm over with are over on our Angels, Arizona, and Philly. What do you think about, like, who's good? Who are you playing? I mean, what do you like here?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm playing a few lineups, not too many. I have Corbin in one of my. I mean, it's not a huge buy-in, but one of the 2 bigger buy-ins that I'm playing. Actually, it's my biggest buy-in right now. And I'm actually playing Corbin with Kikuchi in that one. I actually do think Kikuchi stands out as being significantly the best play on the slate. I think he's also going to be 75% on. I don't think his ownership is going to be as low. You can see, I mean, his projection is, you don't usually see like a 4-point difference between one guy and the second best pitching option. That's a pretty big difference. And I think, I mean, you look at the expected strikeouts tonight, and it's just, he's significantly higher than everyone except for really Bello. And it's kind of weird that Thought's even as high as he is. I have no interest in Thought. This has hurt me before at times because he's had some good games. In general, not a high strikeout pitcher, and actually good real life pitcher. He's actually bumped up the strikeouts more this season. But as I always keep pointing out, I have respect a little bit for this Milwaukee Brewers lineup, and it's weird because it almost doesn't seem like it matters who they play; they just score. So I'm interested in Kikuchi. I'm interested, mild interest in Bello. I like the Corbin to get different, and then it's pretty easy if you want to play Kikuchi and Severino. I also think that it's kind of weird getting this kind of ownership against the Phillies, so I probably would be looking to like maybe go different and maybe look for like Eric Fetty, Littell if I was playing a few more lineups. But I'm kind of happy with keeping a little bit of a tighter pool. And I love, and look, it sucks because they've scored 1 million runs 2 games in a row now. I love the Mets, and as I expected earlier, the ownership has come up a little bit on them, and but it's low enough, as you can see, to feel pretty comfortable playing it. I really like the Mets. I also really like Arizona. I think that for an offense this good, they're being overlooked a little too much. Now, they did just leave Coors. That used to be a thing. You don't play the team the first game of Coors. You don't play the first game after they leave Coors. I'm not buying into all that stuff. Those are my 2 favorites. But where I am playing Corbin, I have a combo 4-4 with Arizona and Houston. I mean, I'm willing to eat the Houston chalk if I'm playing Corbin, for example. That's just an outlook that I decided on earlier in the day. And so that's sort of what I went with. But the Mets and Diamondbacks are the main teams I went with. And I actually think that Houston and Chicago are going to eat up. You can see like literally of the top of the 18 highest owned players, they are like 16 of them. And then you get to the Mets. So I'm sort of just taking the next tier down because of ownership and because you always can like every team against Corbin. Today's no different. You can play the Cubs. Keep in mind also though that you've got guys like Patrick Wisdom who's coming out the second a righty comes in, and he hasn't even been playing against lefties mostly. So he's going to be a really popular play. That he looks like the most popular play on the slate, and he legitimately, if things go your way, even he might only get 1 or 2 at bats. So
why do you think that is? In other words,
he's terrible. He's one of the worst hitters in baseball. He hasn't played he didn't start the last 4 games they had against lefties.
No, that's not what I meant. What I meant was, I mean, if he's, likely going to get pinch hit for, why is he going to be that highly owned? In other words, I'm trying to figure this out. So I don't want to say it the wrong way, but is this just something that's just not known?
No, it's known. For what it's worth, he hasn't not been pinch hit for in his last, I believe it's his last 9 starts. He hasn't had more than 3 at bats. He got to 3 a couple times, but he's also been at 2 and 1 even in games that he started. He's the reason they're playing him is because he's 3K in batting 6th, and he has a ton of raw power. Now, what does that mean? He averages 4 fantasy points a game this season. It's one of the lowest in baseball because he doesn't hit. He strikes out all the time. Another reason he's part of the reason why I talked myself into the Corbin thing. It feels like free strikeouts in waiting, but he does have raw power. If he happens to hit a home run on the day that he's the chalkiest player, so be it. I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? This guy has the lowest batting average in baseball. Like he's hit 7 home runs. Okay, cool story. He does have raw immense power. People remember his name from the past because he's won them a lot of money, including when he cost me all the money. If you remember a couple years ago for that $250K.
I've attempted to block that out.
I haven't even been successful at blocking it out. I don't know. I can't believe you can.
Only because you're bringing it up. That you know what I mean. I put it in my things like don't bring up that and don't bring up Garrett Temple. Those are the
That's right,
guys I'm not allowed to bring up.
Yeah, and the flip side of it is the reason he's basically a home run per 20 at bat guy. That's a very good number. That means he's basically a 30 home run hitter. But the reason he doesn't play every day is because he's not an everyday player. So when I see things like that, I just sort of want to veer. Look, if this is the game he happens to hit a home run, he has the right matchup to do it. But I'm not going to play that kind of chalk on a 6-game slate, and I don't think I need to. So I just avoided the Cubs and Astros today. I actually do like the idea of if I was playing 10 lineups, if I was playing 25, I would have gotten to some of the Cubs. But the Astros, I would still probably stick with 4 or less unless I was playing specifically Corbin. I just think that it does. You should be trying to get different on these slates, especially when the Cubs run total. The Astros are the only run total that really stands out today. Everybody else is basically the same range. Now there's different ways to score runs, and I do think the Cubs as an offense. I mean, I just came off preaching about how much I loved them over the last few days because they score so many runs and nobody wants to play them. But I'm taking the counter approach today, and I'm gonna. I didn't mind your Angels, like getting to some Angels idea earlier today, where you're not playing Kikuchi. I don't know if I have it in me to fully stack them, but they're so cheap, and maybe you could fully stack them. But this Wagaman has been good so far. You've got Ohapi back in the lineup today. Neto, I love at shortstop, and Taylor Ward. Those guys are
they're all righties, you know, like
yeah, except for Chanel. He's the only one that they got in there.
And there's some other guy who's some righty that's cheap that's playing too, I think.
Yeah, and I've heard contrarian takes on this, and I didn't dig in far enough myself, but about Kikuchi being, there are people out there who are pretty adamant that Kikuchi is better. His strikeout upside is higher against right-handed hitters than it is against lefties.
Wow, that's surprising.
It's unusual. I didn't dig into the deep stats. I'm sure they hit the ball off of him more, but some pitchers sometimes, pitchers with a good change might be that way. It's usually unusual for lefties, especially. But there was who was like that? Was it Fried? I'm trying to remember if it was Fried when he was younger. I think he was really, really good against. I mean, he was good against both sides, but the lefties hit him for whatever reason better. And I think it was because of the changeup. So anyway, look, it's hard slate. It's not hard it's easy. It's an easy, obvious slate on what to do. Like in cash games, you just play the Cubs, play Houston. In my opinion, play Kikuchi. And I actually think that the next safest pitchers gets really weird because I don't really feel like any of these guys are all that safe. I guess Bello would be the guy I would choose, but I don't feel like that's even 100% safe. And my one-off today that I'm playing in my lineup so far, because I tried to keep it 5-3, 4-4, 4-2. But I do have a one-off of who did they have for batting cleanup today for Tampa? Jonathan Aranda is 2,700 in batting cleanup, first and second base eligible. So look, if you're playing lottery stuff, I liked what you said about the Angels, and I like getting to some race. That would be my try to win a huge tournament with like a sub 5% owned, sub 3% owned stack. That's what I would probably try and end up heaviest on, outside of the fact that I happen to love the Mets in Arizona.
Are you well, again, you're not playing that many lineups, but I was going to ask if you are, you doing anything with stacks, like limiting stacks, or just kind of going with what they give you, or
I would have been happy to get whatever I got today, to be honest with you. I could see the arguments for 3-3-2s. I could see the arguments for just going 5-man. I could see the arguments for 4-4s. Today, on a 6-gamer like this, where everything is sort of spread out and nothing looks all that great, maybe I'd lean into a little bit more 4-4-3-1 or 4-2-2 or 4-4, something like that. But I don't think I would actually make it as a setting. I think I would just let SaberSim sort of do its thing, give it to me, plug in your projections or goldies into SaberSims. And it's really easy to do, guys. For those of you guys who are members, look, we've just got it right here, and boom, we'll have Sheets' projections or Goldie's projections instead, which will automatically just be another way of getting you different. Because you could think, hey, everyone else is going to run things this way, and Sheets talks a lot about this, ways to get different in that. But it's another way to get different just by using Sheets or Goldie's projections, simply because not that many people have access to them. So you're already going to have something a little bit different than what SaberSim would naturally just give you on its own. If I did set not a rule, like I was thinking if I was playing the lottery, because I was just sort of playing around earlier, I think I would actually go heavy. I would take the weird chance on Corbin and play like 20% of them, maybe a little higher. You mentioned you have 15. I like that. I'd like to be well over the 5% that he's going to be owned, because I really don't feel great about these. It's one of those slates where you don't feel great about the pitching, and you don't really feel that great. None of the lineups stand out to be these monster spots. If there was one, it would be the Astros or the Cubs, but they're not that much different, even just by run totals, as everybody else. So I'm willing to go other places. That would be my thing. I would set a rule to no more than 4 Houstons, and probably no more than 4 Cubs as well.
I wonder if anybody's going to be actually that high owned today. You really think the Cubs and the Astros are going to really get it?
I think people love to stack against Corbin whenever they see the name. And I think that the Angels with a full run, not a full run. The Angels are at 5.1. I'm sorry, the Astros are at 5.1 today. with definitely some volatility and a semi bullpenish game in Suarez and the Angels. I think they are going to be more popular than everybody else. I think they'll be more popular than being projected, actually, to be honest. But I think you're going to see it a little bit spread. I think you're going to see some Mets. You're going to see some Arizonas, which is partly why I like them. I don't think you're going to see as much of the Tampa Bay and of obviously the Angels. Those would be the two lowest owned, or I guess the Angels would be the lowest owned. Tampa Bay's cheap enough; they'll be a little bit more popular. But yeah, pretty. I say straightforward-ish slate, but I don't believe on 6-game slates and playing. Because we've seen it lately. We saw it yesterday with St. Louis. This stack was projected to be like a 10% stack. Everybody on the team was like 30% owned. And that was like a 13-game slate. So it was a little, I don't know. So I just am all in favor of trying to get different. In baseball, I always have like varying results. I'll have weeks where I just crush and weeks where, months where I just don't do well. But I do think that being contrarian in general, as far as hitting goes, is the right way to play.
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
Who is this? Hold on, I gotta see what this is. Hold on.
Yeah, do you think?
Hello.
All right, guys. So any other questions or thoughts in here? Remember,
you gotta call me later. I apologize.
The NFL in just a few minutes. But yeah, I don't think I have a whole bunch else to go on for today. Brandon had a nice NASCAR show before. I saw that people were in there, and that looked fun. I wish I understood it enough to actually weigh in, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just trust Brandon's things, use Brandon's projections, and run some stuff. Maybe I'll do that.
Well, that's the best way to do it, is to just get in there,
Yeah. You start figuring out that other stuff as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is, if I could still play like $1 tournaments and 50-cent tournaments and play 150 with Brandon's stuff and try to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That would be really cool, but I can't do it. I'm not allowed to. So
right.
It's a little bit annoying. I don't want to, risk $700 on something that I literally have no idea.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. The old me, he would have done it. The young version of me certainly would have. And by the way, congrats to Ohtani. He's now 1 home run away. He has
from what?
From 50-50.
Oh, all right.
First guy ever. He's already the first guy to ever do this, but yeah, he's 3 for 3 today with 2 stolen bases, 2 doubles, and basically all the RBIs. So the guy's just a monster. All right, what else we got in here? Looks like there's not much. I think people will probably jump in for the football thing in a few minutes. Do you want to just stop now, Sheets, and then we'll be back in like 10 minutes? Or is there anything else?
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I just thought, because I don't have a whole lot else to go over, and gonna run to the restroom really quick, and then we'll do the football.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Good luck.